check something. And then I turned around and in the hallway, like everything went off. Found out later the reason for this happening was because of a truck had hit the power lines. So let me invite her. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. And there you go. Here we go. Hey, hey, Nippet and Queen, how you doing? I'm glad you could join me. I definitely was glad that you could join me today. We're just gonna wait for some people to get in the room, but I was just telling the story because yesterday I tried to go live. I try to keep my word and go live every day at 2 p.m. Monday through Friday. And I don't know how this happened, but a garbage truck like hit the telephone, well, not the telephone, but the power poles and knocked them down. So I was without power until about 9:30, and then I was like, I'm not going on live. But I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. So we're talking about today is the confusion. Okay, I really believe that a lot of survivors deal with confusion in the dynamic in the relationship. However, I'm one of those people that actually thinks that the confusion is a good thing. That means that you're starting to see through the pattern. That means that you're starting to see past the mask. What are your thoughts on that, Nippet and Queen? Mhm. Yes, 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 yes. I think one thing that I harp on all the time is hope. I think many people ignore that intuition that they're getting, that something is off and something, needs to be addressed basically in the relationship. I say often, I always say this, that no relationship should make you feel as if something is wrong. And that's usually the first sign that we get. Thank you so much for the likes, Nippet and Queen. So, yeah, here's the deal. If you're joining us, it's going to take a little while. It usually doesn't pick up until like the first 5 minutes. But if you're joining us, make sure that you follow Nippet and Queen. She has always been a great source of inspiration and advice on this trauma bond thing. Do you mind if I ask you a personal question? And this is, you can just say no, don't ask me. Okay. Um, did you? I'm assuming that you found your way out just from the conversations you've had in live. I'm assuming that you found your way out of, a narcissistic dynamic. Um, Let me ask you a question. Did you find it easy or hard? Thank you, Ashley, for the follow. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, I understand that. I understand that. Yeah, I'm going to be transparent and honest. I found it very, very hard. I think that's why I harp so much on letting go of the illusion, letting go of the fantasy, because that's what kind of kept me stuck, for a long time. And then when I realized, like, wait, this is the reason why you're still going through this. This is the reason why you can't let go. Um, and I had to find ways to work through it. I had to find ways to work through it. Uh, I think I've mentioned it before. I have children with this person, so it wasn't possible to go no contact. Um, yeah. Ooh. Yeah. 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 It's not. And people don't understand. I think everybody looks at, because the demographic on social media is basically young, so they have the advantage to make that clean break. Just go no contact. I'm not messing with you. I'm moving forward. They have it a lot easier. But many people have found themselves, especially in long-term relationships, where they are trapped. They're trapped with this when they started a business. We own a house together. We own property together. And the biggest thing is the children, because the children will be weaponized. Many survivors don't understand this, and it causes more confusion. You know, yeah. Go ahead. I'll let you speak, because I talk all the time. Please share. Mm, mm-hmm. Right. 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 Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And it's the manipulation. I took down a couple of notes. Um, but the manipulation is like the hardest thing to deal with, because you don't want to think that the person that you spent X amount of years with, or this time with, is actually trying to gaslight you, trying to manipulate you. I think it's human. Yeah, I think as human beings, our first instinct is, if we're in even a friendship, a close friendship, we tend to always give that person the benefit of the doubt. We always say, "Nah, they wouldn't do that to me. Why would they do that? That's my buddy. Or that's my girlfriend, or that's my homeboy." Um, but what people don't realize is betrayal never comes from the people that we don't know. Betrayal comes from people that we actually do know. That's why the knife feels so vicious when it's thrown in our backs. Um, and the narcissists, they use that to their advantage. One of the things that I actually wanted to talk about today was the grandiosity that narcissists have. And this is part of the reason why they actually do the things that they do. They feel that they are entitled to do whatever it is that they want to do, no matter if it hurts someone, if it hurts, and they always hurt the people that actually care about them, which is sad within itself. I see people starting to come in. If you guys have questions, please put in the chat. We are going to get clarity together. Okay, we're going to get clarity together. I'm not trying to sell my course. I'm not trying to sell one-on-ones. I'm figuring, let's use today. Let's use April 1st to go ahead and begin to get clarity on the dilemma that many of us find ourselves in. It's not like there's two or three of these people out there. 6% of the whole population are basically narcissists, and they're looking for you. They're trying to take from you. Hey, Richard Wilson, thank you for joining. Thank you for being a long time watcher. But yeah, guys, if you have questions, I'm going to do my best. I'm sure Omnipotent Queen is going to do her best. Make sure that you follow her. Like I said, the few times that I've been doing these lives, she has been a great source of advice. And I think, since many people think that narcissistic abuse only comes from, I don't know where they get this idea from, but most people think that narcissistic abuse actually is something that only males are narcissists. Well, there's a huge, huge part of the population that males are narcissists. However, there are female narcissists, and I think that's where many empaths, many men that are empaths find themselves trapped, because society has taught us to be like, oh, she's just crazy, or she's just, toxic, or she wasn't raised right. And, we tend to ignore the fact that our mental stability is being harmed by this person, and it's being harmed intentionally. So, yeah. Um, so I'm going to wait for these questions. I need you guys to give me some questions. Okay. And what do you have to say about, the abuse in general? What is your viewpoint, Omnipotent Queen? Mm, yeah. Mm, yes. Yes, you're correct. You're correct. Yeah. Some of our friends can be narcissists, believe it or not. See, I think people get hooked, and I think because the way that it's discussed on social media, and it's another thing that I always bring up, because it's discussed this way on social media, we think it's just relationships. As I pointed out in previous lives, this is the family dynamic of the black sheep. People have narcissistic co-workers and bosses in the workplace, and some of us have friends that are narcissistic. How do you think flying monkeys are actually brought into the fray when the narcissist is doing their smear campaign on you, and you're saying, why is this person getting involved? And this person knows for a fact that I'm not this way, because you're probably with another person you can manage. Discussing computer, it's just the AI stuff. But yeah, so you can imagine that that narcissism is very, very far reaching, and I don't think people really realize that. I don't think people realize how it affects their lives. And through my research, what I've learned is that all the other forms of narcissism, be it a friend, a coworker, a boss, you know, what we find is if you're in a narcissistic relationship, those other aspects of narcissism just slide right under the radar. Remember, you're an empath. You're an empath, so narcissists are definitely attracted to you. But since you're trying to come out of the fog of a romantic relationship with the narcissist, you're ignoring everybody else. You're trying to figure out what's going on the other side of the door in your house. You know, um, and again, they do this on purpose. They do this on purpose because they have this feeling of grandiosity. They believe that they are above reproach. Nobody can say anything to them. And everything that they do to the people that actually care about them should be accepted. This is why. Yeah, go ahead, please. I'm sorry, because I tend to ramble. Yes, yes. You hit it right on the nose, Omnipotent Queen. And this is how they truly feel. Because, again, a lot of people don't realize you're looking at a disorder, a mental health disorder. You're looking at something that this person, even though they are aware of their actions, it's like the person that taught me how to do in orthopedics how to cast. He used to always say when people come in and act crazy, be like, some people they're not responsible for themselves. Okay, and narcissists know what they're doing. They know that they're hurting the person that they love, but they're never going to take responsibility or accountability because that is going to force them to react. And Daryl Stewart, thank you for joining. Daryl Stewart, 50, what was that? 57. Thank you. I appreciate you. But yeah, so, and guys, I want you to put these questions in. I'm glad that Omnipotent Queen joined me. Please go ahead and give her a follow. But yeah, put these questions in. I think together we can get you guys some real answers. Real answers. And when you're seeking clarity, that's what you want. You want answers. You don't want people to hold your hand through this. You don't. Thank you for the lights, Omnipotent Queen. You don't want people to just, don't worry about it. You'll get over it. Come out, have a few drinks with me. Come on, let's go out to dinner. Let's go see a show. Let's do all of this. But that's not going to stop the pain. That's never going to be the band-aid that's going to stop the pain. It may make you forget about it for a second, but I'm going to tell you, if you're going through a trauma bond, those few seconds of peace are fleeting unless you kind of bolster that. You kind of say, okay, I just had a few minutes of peace. Let me throw myself into something else so I'm not thinking about this person. Did you find that happen with you? And I'm not trying to get in your business and just say pass if you don't want to answer the lipid and queen. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You would think that you went to see that guy outside the bodega. It really feels like that. I mean, I don't think people that go ahead. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Yes. Yes. Isn't that crazy how they tell us, exactly how everything is going because they've given this script in their mind. Isn't that crazy? Did you find that crazy when you realized, like, wait a second, they gave me a clue that they was going to do this? It's scary. It's very scary, guys. If you've gone through this is how you get clarity. Okay, you stop looking away. The problem is staring you right in the face. You stop looking away. You have to just meet it head on, and I get it. It hurts when you stop to meet head on the fact that this person that you've said I love you, you made plans to get married to them, you've made plans to build a future, and you find out that this person is like, oh my God, you told me that you were going to hurt me. You told me that you were going to cheat on me. You told me that you were going to be mad and punish me. And that's really hard to deal with. It's kind of like, go ahead, I'm sorry. Oh, that grandiosity. Who says that? Messing. Big IB says messing with my mind. Thank you for joining us, Big I. Well, this is what they do. Part of they love to manipulate people. It makes them feel powerful. It makes them feel very powerful. It makes them feel godlike. Um, if they can manipulate someone, it makes them feel like they're smarter than that person. And that person, since you allowed me to manipulate you, whatever I do to you next, you have no choice but to accept. It's crazy. Good. Did I interrupt you? I'm sorry. Yeah, man. Yes, yes. And I think what many, part of what hurts survivors is actually criterion number 3 in the DSM-5. The need for control, the need for validation and admiration. They need that. That is like fuel. That is fuel for them. The need for control again is always directed at the people that actually care for them. So they need to at all times be in control of the situation. And this is where you get clarity because if you're in a relationship with a narcissist, and let's say you hit a bump in the road, maybe a bill, maybe something unexpected came up, maybe you need to fix something in the house, or maybe you need to figure out how to raise the children at this stage of their lives. You'll find that they will come up with the most bat-ish crazy idea of how it should move forward, and you're trying to use reason, logic. You're trying to explain some. This is not going to work for a couple of reasons, and these are the reasons that it's not going to work. You will get so much pushback. It's not because what you're saying is not making sense. They're not going to. They understand exactly what you're saying, but they need to feel that they are in control of the situation. In other words, they'd rather burn the house down than put out the fire in the ashtray. You understand what I'm saying? And Renee J says, yeah, I try to reason and use logic. Renee J, and thank you for joining. I appreciate you, and thank you for making that statement. And I'm gonna let Omnipotent Queen take this first, because like I said, I'll just run on and keep on talking. But yeah, did you see what Renee J put up? Yes. Yes, yes, that's all they care about. I have been in so, like I said, I got caught up in 3Ds, just didn't understand what it was. And this is the reason why you need to get clarity. Okay, because time 1 and 2, I didn't know what it was. Couldn't put a name to it. Okay. 3 was so vicious that I was like, what the hell is going on? Because and I say this, I know there's a flying monkey in here, but I say this with all honesty. Okay, I cared for this person. I can't see that's the first thing you have to admit to yourself. You caring did not make it wrong. It didn't. You were not wrong for caring about that person. However, on the other side of the coin, you there was nothing you can do about them. They wanted you to think that you could do something. See, that's the whole thing. They wanted, and Renee just says, I tried so hard. Yes. And that's where we get trapped. This is why we end up in the trauma bond because we are still trying. We are still trying to bring back that person that we met in the very beginning. But as I say every time, that person doesn't exist. That person is basically a script. I don't know how much movies are in your area, but you'd be better off spending $13 or $15 sitting in the movie theater and just spending 2 hours in there because that's essentially what you're getting. Okay, it's not coming back. Yes, yes, that is the trap. That is the trap. The trap is well, one thing that, and again, this is why I tell people this is done on purpose. Because you know what? I don't know if a CIA agent could keep, hiding their identity for as long as many people have been in these relationships. I've heard people that have said, I've been in this relationship for 20 years. I've been in this relationship for 25 years. I think somebody was on last time that said they just ended a 27-year marriage. Okay. So, yeah, I don't think that a CIA operative could keep that level of subterfuge for that long. But the narcissist can. And if you want some kind of comfort, you were very important to the narcissist. That's why it lasted that long. Okay. Not in the way that you think that you were important, but you were very important to them because you were prime A, grade A supply. They tested the waters constantly with you. You know, they would say stuff just to make you react, and they just sitting there like this. Yep, got him. Still got him. Still got her. And Renee J are trying to reason just to be strong alone while they play dumb. That, Omnipotent Queen, I'm going to let you speak to that because that brought such a sour taste in my mouth. That whole, I'm going to play stupid. When they understand you the first time, when they've crossed the boundary and you're trying to explain to them, they act like they just escaped from kindergarten. Okay, when you are explaining to them, hey, listen, you potentially screwed up everything. They understood exactly what they did, but they're gonna put you into this circle jerk conversation that you're just like, oh my freaking God, nobody on this planet can be that dumb. Yes, please go ahead. Preach. Oh my God. You know what? I laugh because I have literally went through that where we were going someplace. I have no sense of direction. I tell everybody that I have no sense of direction. Um if I'm driving, the same route and somebody paints a house a different color, I'm panicking. I'm lost. Okay. I do everything by landmark. So if we were going someplace that we've never gone to before, already that's stressful. Okay, first time going someplace. And I'm telling them, like, pay attention to the GPS or, pay attention to where you're going. I really can't help you. I've never been here before, just being honest. So they sit up there telling me again that need to be in control. They tell me, I got this. Don't worry about it. I got this. I got this. I got it. We get lost. How did it become my fault? I mean, really going in on me. You should have told me this. Why didn't you see this? Why didn't you say something about this? If you felt we were going the wrong way, why didn't you tell me? Well, A, you don't listen. And B, what difference does it make? We got lost. but it becomes your fault. Let me see this. I'm I'm the reason. When AJ says I'm the reason why he did what he did. No, you're not the reason. Narcissists never want to take a yes, yes. And I don't know if you understand this, Renee J. Um, Narcissists have this thing; they can't take accountability. In other words, they can never be wrong. Okay, because that chips away at their grandiosity. You can't be in control of everything. Thank you, Sharon Matthews, for the likes, and thank you for joining us today. You can't be in control if you're wrong. So you will find that this causes a narcissistic injury, and they will rage out at you if you tell them, no, that wasn't my fault. That was definitely your fault. If they're driving and they get in an accident, they will literally turn around and say it was your fault. You've got the steering wheel in your hand. You've got the gas and the brake control. Okay. You're looking out the window. How is that my fault if we've gotten into an accident? They would probably tell the cops if they come on the scene, well, I was driving, but it was definitely his fault. So yeah, they can never admit when they're wrong. So yeah, take that in mind. And they do it on purpose. Never think. Yes. Isn't it crazy when we find ourselves, and I'm thinking that there's a few people here that are just basically figuring it out. Okay. I find that most people that join in to lives like this, they're at that point where they know something's wrong. They're confused. And they're saying that thing that I always say. You shouldn't feel confused in a loving relationship. You shouldn't. So now you see, yes, you should. Who does that? Gets in a relationship and feels that they should be confused. Please put it in the chat. Somebody tell me if they truly feel that if you're in a relationship, hmm, they don't, and yet and still us empaths still get trapped. And it's not your fault. Stop thinking it's your fault. You did what you felt was the right thing to do. Um, Most people don't get into a relationship with an expiration date. They don't, unless you're in your 20s. You do that. You're still clubbing, you're still doing your thing. So yeah, some things have an expiration date. But once you reach like your late 20s, you're hitting adulthood, you got your mind on goals and stuff like that. You want the person next to you to be an extension of the greatness that you want. So you want to help them get great. You want to help yourself get great. You want the team to get great. Okay. The narcissist doesn't think that way. The narcissist, you have an expiration date based on how much admiration you can give me. How much you're going to put up with my BS. That's your expiration date. Once you start seeing through the fog, once you start seeing the person that they are, many people find out that what happens is the narcissist starts to rage out. They start to double down. They start to double down on the love bombing. They double down on the devaluation because, hey, what's up, Cargo King? Thanks for joining and thank you for the likes. Guys, go ahead and follow Omnipotent Queen. I'm telling you, she is a great source of advice. Renee, it's hard to get distance from him now because we have a 3-year-old. It's not as hard as you think. Okay, there's a couple of things that I'm going to tell you. Okay, there is this thing where you need to control the access because as long as there is a child involved, they don't believe in the rules of engagement. Okay, narcissists look at people as constructs. Okay, they look at them as just things that they drew up in their mind. And those things are based on, do you have a use or do you not have a use? And that includes their children. So since they don't believe in the rules of engagement, which is like a military thing, children should never be made to bear war arms and get in the middle of a conflict. Okay. The narcissist will weaponize your children. The narcissist will use manipulation to make your children feel a certain way about you. The reason being is because the narcissist, not being stable themselves, knows that you love your children. And this is a way that they keep the hook attached to you, because now you got to call them up. You got to ask about this. Can we do this? Does this need to be done? And you're going back and forth. And you have to learn how to take the emotional charge out of everything, because you're ready to go crazy because that's your child, right? What was you saying, in Nipping Queen? Mm-hmm. 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 Yep. Yep. They need you to. This is fuel for them. A lot of survivors don't understand this. The quicker you detach emotionally, the easier it becomes to heal. That's that blueprint that I'm talking about. Okay. When you take the emotions out the equation and you start treating them like you just started a new job, this is your new coworker. There's no emotion involved. That's not your friend. That's not your buddy. You just met this person, so there's no emotion involved. Um, the you just moved into a new neighborhood. You go into the store, a new store, and you're speaking to the shopkeep. There's no emotion involved. This is how you have to treat the narcissist. Okay, you have to take out the emotion because they're waiting for it. They will do. If you send them a non-emotional text, I guarantee, because like Omnipotent Queen says, they do the same thing. Okay? If you send out a text that's on point and has no emotion, and it says, hey, listen, they're going to a new school, okay, and they go on this day, you will get a text back with like 500 different things that have nothing to do with the new school. The reason being is they're trying to keep control. They're trying to make you jump through hoops. They're trying to make you emotionally react. They're trying to get you to respond in a way that's going to make them feel good. Okay? And the only way that they ever feel good is if they have control of another person's. They regulate their emotions by triggering other people's emotions because exactly. I feel like leaving town. I feel bad for our son. Yeah, I get that. I'm gonna let you take that. And thank you, Marie, for joining. Thank you for being a long time watcher. I'm gonna let you take care of that one with Renee J. J. I don't know if you see that. Do you see it? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Right. Yes. Yes. Right. Right. I'm gonna also. I figure most people are doing the court thing, as Omnipotent Queen mentioned earlier. You know, this is the reason why you have to let go emotionally. Okay, is because if you find yourself, first of all, let me tell you something. Uh, Courts, they're not used to the manipulation that a narcissist will present within the courtroom. If you've ever been a victim, and everybody has, of reactive abuse, you will find that as soon as you walk into that courtroom, we're going to start trying to trigger you. Okay. Again, remember, they studied you through the whole relationship. So they know what's going to get under your skin, or as my aunt would say, pluck your last nerve. This is the reason why you need to detach emotionally, because if you actually go batshit crazy because of what this person did to you or said to you, what's going to happen is the the judge, or the whoever is the person in charge of that session, is going to do, they're just going to look at you. So what you have to do is, first of all, I'm going to tell you this, and I tell everybody this: No phone calls. Everything needs to be in writing. Everything needs to be in writing. No phone call. I don't want to talk to you. Okay? Because just like I learned early on in my work career, a conversation can be misconstrued. Okay? You can't move letters around in a text or an email. Okay? Um, I think most states have a parenting act. Communicate through that. Okay? Another thing that you have to do is you have to understand that the courts are actually there to make sure that the interests of the child, the best interests of the child is kept. Okay. So it becomes a thing of documenting. You just saying this person is unfit isn't going to work. You just saying that, hey, my child should be with me, not with this person, because of this, this, and this. You've got to bring proof. Okay. Unemotional proof. Okay, so you have to keep notes. You have to, say, okay, listen, I'm not even going to interact because the narcissist is going to want to know what they're doing wrong so that they present themselves in the next case. You, yes, yes, and why not? You care about your child. You don't see your child as a construct. You don't see your child. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. This is what they're telling the flying monkeys. This is why I tell people stop following their social media because yeah, yep, yep. And you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. You're gonna look crazy. I mean, honestly, from the outside looking in, you're gonna look crazy. You're gonna look unstable. Okay. I've been in family court and seen the outbursts. Now, me having common sense and not knowing what went on in the dynamic in that person's relationship that's being seen before me, I'm like, wow, what's wrong with dude? He might have just been triggered. I don't know his triggers. So now the judge is looking at his case as if, there's really, you're kind of unstable. You're yelling at me. And the reason why that person is doing it, A, they love their child. And B, we get emotional about the things that we love and about the things that we care about. We always do. Okay, but it's not going to help you. And plus, let me be honest, I don't want my children to think that I'm unstable. I don't. If I'm on a video call with my children and this person comes into camera and starts yelling and screaming, I'm like, I'm going to get off of this call. I tell my kids, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to deal with this because I'm not going to let them see me get bent out of shape. If that makes sense. Does that make sense to anybody? Mm-hmm. Right, right, right. And these are just some of the games that narcissists play. Again, they always need to be in control. And my favorite thing is criterion number 7. They have no lack of empathy. So while you're sitting up there saying to yourself, why are they acting this way? Why are they doing this? These are our children. Yes, for a person that has empathy, they might fall back and say, you know what? This is hurting the kids. I see it's hurting the kids. I see it's not helping the children at all. And at the end of the day, this is my child or my children as well. They're never going to do that. They go ahead, because yeah, that's crazy. Yep, yep. A narcissist. Say no, go ahead. Mm-hmm. 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 No. Yep. And many people don't. Okay. I'm sorry. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. No, I get that. I get that. The flying monkeys, especially the family flying monkeys. This is just due to my research. This is not even personal. Um, I tend to not care about the familial flying monkeys because I came to understand one thing: narcissists are created by trauma, okay, and it's created at a very early age. With that being said, chances are they experienced that trauma within that family dynamic. So this speaks to nothing but dysfunction. And once we start speaking about dysfunction, we start talking about people needing to protect their mask. And you will find that even though, how did I say it, the live before last? You've gotten in a relationship with this person. It always plays out the same way. They are going around because there's certain attributes that you have as a person that attracted them to you, not just because you're an empath. You have something that they can essentially wear, be it status, money, whatever. Okay. What they do is, since they feel that they're taking your status, they're embedding this into them, essentially, they're trying to be you. They're going to introduce you to family, friends, like you are the greatest thing since sliced bread. Okay. They're going to introduce you to everybody like, I finally found the one. This is the one. This is the person that I've been waiting for my whole life. And what happens is at the end of the relationship, they tell the same story that they told before you got into the picture. And it's always the same thing. And you would think after three, four, maybe even five times that somebody would say, wait a second, this is exactly what happened in your last relationship. How is it this person's fault? Because you're telling us the same story every time. Well, the family is going to go along with the story because it protects their mask as well. Okay. This is why you need to detach emotion. I get it. You've been with this person for years. You've gone to Thanksgiving dinners. You've gone to events. You've gone to family reunions. And you think these people have common sense, but then again, the narcissist doesn't have common sense. And this is where the narcissist came from. The narcissist, before you knew the narcissist knew this whole family unit. And they've been putting up with their BS for years and coddling them, telling them, oh, baby, I'm sorry that happened to you. These people ain't ish out here, this, that, and other. And they know deep down inside, nah, this was your fault. You do this every time. Right, right. The narcissist doesn't create themselves. Right, right. And they always have what I found out in hindsight was when I looked at the previous two and even this one, I could tell who was the black sheep of the family in those dynamics. And I could tell I could actually see the dysfunction. How they went, I would be sitting there listening to conversations and I'd be like, you gonna sign off on that? You're trying to be polite. You're not going to jump in and be like, I know this is your family, but what this person just said makes no sense. How do you sign off on it? And then you, again, that hope, that potential, you say, well, maybe I was raised a little bit differently. The trauma was created within that family unit. So never be fooled and think that these people will ever be on your side. Never be fooled and think these people will actually say, you know what, common sense dictates A, B, and C. It's not going to happen. Well, yeah. Well, they narcissists. Now, this is where I come to like this fine gray line. I think that they do have common sense. I just think that their need for control overrides the common sense. Like I said, if you get in a heated discussion because they broke a boundary, they understood you the first time. They know exactly what they did wrong. However, it's more fun to watch you explain yourself. It's more fun for them. Mm, yeah, they got to get it where they can get it. It's crazy. Yep. 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 I've had, I think, at least two of them actually would tell me stuff like, I used to hate this because I would say, well, who are you talking to about our relationship? Because that triangulation to make you feel inadequate. They would say things like, I was talking to what's the name about this, and they said, that you're crazy for even thinking this way. Everybody thinks this way. I'm like, no, they don't. You are right. Yes, they are. What I was saying. Yeah, there was exactly, exactly. I still don't know who they were. You know, I know the thing just happened 5 minutes ago, but yeah, I've been speaking to them about this, and they said, and it's like, well, who the hell is they, and why are you discussing our relationship with they? You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. It is absolutely batshit crazy. Oh my god. What? Oh god. They sending emails like, I was walking down the block and I heard y'all going at it. Tell him he's wrong. Tell her she's wrong. Yeah. I still, I still, but that's what they do. It's part of triangulation. It's part of the way to make you feel, to make you doubt yourself. They know exactly that you're right. Mm. Or they can always find an excuse for cheating, or they will put it on. I used to hear, well, I saw you. Yep, yeah, yeah, yep. I think I would get closure if I just knew who half of the days were. I think that would actually give me closure. I'm not looking for closure. I'm not, but I'm glad. I'm glad we had that laugh. but the, but these people, thank you, Elise Sharna, 88 for the likes. Thank you for joining, and Starlight 777. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you guys. But yeah, I mean, if you notice nothing else from these lives, narcissists do the same shit over and over again. Everybody, if we sat down and had a narcissistic survivor reunion, we would essentially all be telling the same stories because they do the same thing. Um, and I tend to think that if you've been in a relationship longer than 2 years with a narcissist, I tend to give you the main supply badge, meaning that your emotions kept them satisfied for a little while. You're never going to fully satisfy them, no matter what you do. You're going to end up bending over backwards, um, and that's what hurts many survivors is the whole cheating thing, and that's why I go over this. You're not looking at an intimate act. You're not looking at infidelity because they really like this person. You're looking at someone that just wants someone to admire them, and it becomes a trade-off. There's nothing emotional involved in it. I would feel better if there was something emotional involved in it. It's not. And many people get stuck. They get stuck in that loop of, well, why did they cheat on me? Why did they do this? I did nothing wrong to them. I tried to give everything to them. Why would they do that? It's not because of you. There was nothing you could have done. It was that person was in front of them when they needed admiration, when they needed that recharge. And they figured, well, if by doing this with this person, they're going to admire me, they're going to validate me, then hey, why not? Why not? It's never going to be, I guess, the way normal people look at it. We all watch The Boss Court at some stage in our lives. Well, I fell in love with this person. That's different. This person is telling you, hey, good afternoon, chosen fire. This person is telling you, I fell in love with this person, and I fell out of love with you. The key word being love. There is no love involved with the narcissist. It's just an act. And L Pounds, thank you for joining. I appreciate you as well. But yeah, we have to get off of that ship, okay? Because it's not going to take us anyplace. We're just going to keep on circling the ocean, okay? That's why I say you have to detach emotionally completely. That's the only way that you are going to heal. That is the only way. There's no other way to heal. You have to let go emotionally. If you don't, you're going to find yourself in a situation where you're like, man, why did they do this? And that's a horrible feeling to sit up late at night, because I've been through this, where you're sitting up late at night and you're trying to figure out why. Why did they do this? Why did they treat me this way? Why did they say this? Why did they do this? Why did they do this? And you've got like 1,000 whys, and then you look at the clock and it's like, damn, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Why? You've got to stop doing that. Thank you, Chosen Fire. Thank you for the likes. I appreciate you. Guys, if you haven't done so yet, I want you to go ahead and follow Nippin and Queen. But yeah, I mean, that if you want the blueprint, I think that is one of the major steps, letting go emotionally. Just transferring that person in your mind to the person that hangs outside the 7-Eleven or the Piggly Wiggly or wherever you live at. Just make them that person, because that person outside the Piggly Wiggly or the 7-Eleven or Target, you don't really care about. You don't. Maybe on a human level, but you don't care. There's no emotional attachment. You have to let go of that emotional attachment. That I mean, even if you did take the course and there is like a module that says, fantasy versus reality, even if you take the course, if you never let go of those emotions, you will stay stuck. You will definitely. Yeah. I mean, how do you feel about that? Mm-hmm. 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 Right. Yep, they do. They do. They know their goal is to hurt you. To hurt you makes them feel powerful. Their goal is to diminish you, because the thing that attracted them to you in the beginning was, again, you either had status, you had a good job, you were important in your community, maybe you just bought a house, maybe you brought something that could be seen as supply and that they can wear. Um, but they didn't love you. They didn't. The way that you can tell that, and this is how I was just in a Zoom meeting with someone, and I explained this to them. The reason why you could tell that they didn't love you is not just the love bombing, because some people are super giving. So that could be something where you just say, oh, well, they just got it like that, or, some people are just super quick to show that they care. It's like, well, maybe that's the type of person that they are. Um, but they do the love bombing on purpose. And then you come to the mirroring. When they start mirroring you, after a while, the reason why they do this, and I explain this so many different times, and it shows why they're doing this on purpose. The reason why they mirror you is because it causes you to let your guard down. Thank you, Nani Kai. Thank you for joining. It forces you to let your guard down. It makes it easier for them to actually insert themselves into your life, because you're looking at yourself. There's a person that has the same, think about it, they have the same hobbies, they have the same likes, they talk like you, they want the same things that you want, this, that, and the other. It's like you're talking to yourself, so you're like, wow, this is my soulmate. Who could have brought somebody into my life just like this? And then after that, the devaluation. So if every narcissist does the same thing, wouldn't you think that it's done on purpose? If a person has NPD and they follow these same patterns, wouldn't you think that they're doing it on purpose? If you disagree, please. No, yeah, thank you. Go ahead. Mm-hmm. 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 Well, you're giving it willingly because you're dealing with hope and potential. You're even when they start the devaluation, even when they start, you're like, why is she talking to me like this? Or why is he talking to me like this? I haven't even done anything wrong. Yep. Mm, yep. That's when you start. Yep. When you start making excuses, they're like, yeah, I got this one. They're locked in. You well, yeah, on purpose. Hey, Monique, how you doing? I didn't even see your name. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you. Yeah. Yeah, that they this is why this is done on purpose. Nobody sits down and plans out the destruction of another human being that every once in a while they say, I love you. Nobody does that, not in their right mind. What do you think, people? Do you think a person can. Mhm. Yes, yes, your empathy. Don't get it twisted. Your empathy, not their empathy. They don't have empathy. Uh-huh. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, having emotions. Yes, this is what we struggle with because we think again. We look at just the term NPD, narcissistic personality. Final word disorder. This is a disorder, and we're treating this person like they're like you and me, like they're normal, they're regular. They're not. They have been practicing this BS for decades. Okay, they have been practicing this for that. They've seen. They have gone out of their way to say this works. I can't do this for too long because it causes the person just to detach from me. I can do this for this long and I can still keep them hooked. They have literally been practicing this for years. Who the hell does that? Unless you work counterintelligence. Who does that? The narcissist does. Stop fooling yourself into thinking that you're dealing with a regular person or even a person that just has that wasn't raised right or a person that is just somewhat toxic or a person that's kind of angry at the world. It's a whole different can of worms here. This is not a person. This is someone that is trying to keep their identity together. And that identity is just a bunch of puzzle pieces. It's like building a puzzle, picking it up, holding it steady, don't mount it on anything, and running down the hallway. That's how the narcissist. Hey, what's up, Sniper One? Thanks for joining. That's how the narcissist feels. It's like you built a 1,000-piece puzzle, but I don't know how you did it, but you picked it up, and now you're going to run down the hallway and try to keep it together. This is what the narcissist does every single moment of their lives. So you're not dealing with someone normal. Again, this is part of the healing. This is part of the healing. You can't fake this. This is not one of those things where you can go in front of a real like a court and say, "Yeah, I did that because I'm crazy." You know, and all they're going to do is put up the DSM-5 and say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, you're a narcissist. You have no choice but to do this. As my old cast technician would say, Tucker, some people just aren't responsible for themselves. And in the case of the narcissists, they never want to be responsible for themselves. Think about that for a second. Well, we give them excuses. I think if more people told their stories, I think, and I'm not disputing what you say, I think if more people told their stories, I think if more people didn't just go off into the sunset and say, I'm not going to deal with anybody ever again because I was hurt. I think if more people just stood up and said, yeah, this was a batshit relationship because this person did this, this, and this to me. See, the narcissist gets away with so much because no one ever does that. There's a few of us, like you, me, the people that's inside of this group room. We're telling our stories, and we're helping people that is trying. What's up, EA? We're looking at people that are trying to get answers and clarity, and we're helping them see. There's somebody that's still in their relationship that is trying to figure out what's going on, and they're getting information. That's potentially a narcissist that will no longer get away with the BS. And that's the way I look at it. That's the way I look at it. Society plays a huge part in many of the things that we do. And those that are trying to manipulate and those that are trying to hurt the system or break the system, yes, they try to keep the, what do they call them, whistleblowers quiet. They want to keep the whistleblowers quiet. And that's what we are as empaths. If we've gotten through this, if we've begun to heal, please go scream your truth from the rooftop and do it unemotionally. It's facts. Make sure it's facts. Mm-hmm. Yep. My father died when I was 2, so I'm like, you got no real excuse there. You know, nobody has an excuse to hurt another human being. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for the follow, Alicia. Go ahead. I'm listening. I'm sorry. Yes. Yes. Right. Right. Well, that's part of the gaslighting as well to make you feel insecure. The narcissist will have you jumping through hoops once they have you hooked. Reality, you tend to, one of the most dangerous things that happened to me was, again, I came into it full of confidence. By the time I got out of it, I was actually conferring with this person, about serious critical things in my life, about making moves, about, doing businesses, doing, stuff like that, things that included finances. I'm conferring with this person because they want you to feel dependent on them. And that's a scary thought, to know that your reality has changed that much that you're depending on this person that is making it clear to you every day that they want to destroy you. The narcissist doesn't want to see you succeed. Even if it helps them, they don't want to see you succeed because that takes away from the whole fact that they're superior to you, you know. And Monique says, and they look at you like an appliance where they can plug into you when they need something. Yes, yes. Who is going through the silent treatment, the isolation, those dry spells, because, that's their way of punishing you, or as Monique says, reactivating you. I think only in narcissistic relationships where intimacy is used as a tool. Really, really, it's used as a tool because the act itself doesn't hold the same weight that it holds with you. It is just another form of control. Whether you're a male or a woman, if you're in a committed relationship, you've got the narcissist sitting up there saying, "Yeah, yeah, I know, I'm tired. Yeah, I've got something to do. Uh, yeah, I'm not feeling too good. Yeah, I've got a headache. And this can go on for weeks. And like I tell people, they know what they're doing is because just at your breaking point, All of a sudden, here they come again. Oh my goodness, what are you doing today? Got a couple hours to spend together? Let's do something crazy. Let's act like kids. It's a tool. It's not something that, they look at it like a normal human being does. It's just an end, a means to an end. If they need to get you back under control, that's how they're going to do it. You know. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly. They need that to happen. Again, we go back to criterion number one. That whole thing of feeling like they're in control, and grandiosity. They need that. They need that. And if they can manipulate your feelings via an act, oh shit, they're not gonna say, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna care about this friend. They're gonna do. They're gonna say, you got a couple of hours? Let's go have some fun. And then there'll be something that they want. Hey, WWC, thank you for joining. There'll be something that they want, something that they need from you, and that will be presented to you after the love bomb. You know, um, if you don't let go, because I do have to get off center, I want to thank you, Omnipotent Queen, for helping me out with this. If you don't understand anything else, if it makes it easier for you to decide that this was all an illusion, um, just look at the relationship from beginning to end. If you're still caught in a relationship, just look at all the steps that I tell people about all the time. You really don't know anything about this person. You don't. And I'm going to tell you why is because all they've told you is surface stuff. And they can't share anything deep with you because there's nothing deep in them. So those moments of pillow talk, those moments of those long late night conversations, that was you talking. Okay? The narcissist never brings anything that's going to help the relationship to the table at all. They don't. When you look at hindsight, it was always you. You brought the fire. You brought everything that was needed to fill up that table. Okay? And mm, mm, yep, yep. Not everything comes with a price tag with the narcissist. Everything. You have to begin to understand, and I think that the more that you open up to what you have been feeling and start pushing past the confusion, you don't need a course. You don't need a one-on-one. You can definitely do this. I like for you to buy the course. I would. I'm not gonna lie. It helps out, keeps the mission moving forward. But at the same time, it's not really the things that I have built. I've built because I felt that it wasn't there for me when I really needed it. And that's a horrible freaking feeling. To know that you're going through something that is hurting you to your very soul, and there's nobody you can talk to because most people don't understand what you're going through, unless they've gone through it as well. They don't. Okay, they'll tell you get over it, move on. Hey, I can hook you up with somebody. It goes deeper than that. It's more than just surface level. Someone has been conditioning you throughout this relationship, and they've been doing it on purpose. So yeah, you know, you have to just look at the relationship as a whole, and just do, I guess, a asset and debit sheet. What did you bring to the table? What did they bring to the table? Were they supportive of you? Did you feel like you were in a competition? Did you feel as if this person really didn't love you, but you didn't know why? Was this person always lying to you? Did you feel uncomfortable when you were out in public with this person? Why? Did you feel like you were looking at two different people? Once you start asking those questions, I'm telling you, it's going to become that much easier. It really is. So, you got anything you want to add before I get off from Nippin' and Queen? No, I talk too much. That's the problem. Anytime. I appreciate you. I think you bring a lot to the table, to helping people understand this and get through this. And this is why we have to be there for each other. Because I have to deal with, yeah, I have to deal with the flame monkeys. Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Lord knows it is. So again, I'm not gonna tell you to follow me, but go follow Nippet and Queen. Follow her. Show that love. Um, and I think she is a good source. That's why I invited her on. I think she's a good source of information, to help survivors understand and get clarity. Um, but yeah, I think in a few months, maybe even, you know, I'm not gonna say a few weeks. It takes a little bit long to get in there, but I think in the amount of time you'll be once you heal, you'll be out there doing the same thing that we do, trying to pull people out. Okay, because you know how deeply it hurt. Right? Would you agree on that? Mm-hmm. Yep. 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 And shit, I need a. Yep. Yep, yep, and that's what we're here for. So hopefully you guys will join me tomorrow at 2. I have to do a couple of things. Since I had a blackout, brownout yesterday, I didn't get my digital magazine for my community done. So I've got to do the final touches on that. But the reason why I do everything that I do is because I want you guys to stay powerful. I want you guys to keep healing. And of course, love you guys. Okay. Reach out if I can be of assistance. Manipulative Queen, thank you once again. I appreciate you. Okay? Oh, shit. All right. I'll speak to you guys later. Bye bye. And it won't cut off. It always does that. What are you doing, cat creature? And I forgot to shut off this one.